This video is about your standing alignment, which will be related to your running alignment. So just to review alignment points that we want to try to hit for more optimal function. Obviously, I have a very large belly right now, but the size of your belly really doesn't matter for these alignment points. So starting at the bottom, your feet, ideally, the outside edges of your feet are parallel. So I'm thinking about the outside edge of my heel to the outside edge of my pinky knuckle. Those should be parallel to each other. If you have wood floors or you got a yoga mat, it's a really good way to figure out what parallel looks like or any sort of grid-like pattern. Otherwise, do your best to eyeball it. For many of you, this might feel very turned in. So I'm just going to show you the sort of ideal alignment. You'll have your own alignment that you already fall into, and you're going to try to split the difference. So this alignment is going to also help better align everything as we go up. So ideally, the outside of our edges of our feet are parallel. The balls of our feet then are perpendicular to that. Our toes should be pointed. They're actually kind of pointed slightly in. Once again, this might feel very duck-footed for some people. Next point is I want to make sure that my ankle bone is directly below my hip bone on the side. So find that outer edge of your hip bone, hard, 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 hard. Oh, look, I can kind of sink in. Of course, you guys all have really strong abs, so it might not sink in much. But find the top of that hip bone. That should be stacked right over your ankle bone. You can always grab a string with like a paper clip or a bead or something attached to it to make a little pendulum to see, is this directly over my ankle bone or my heel? In general, I'm going to say you probably have to back up your hips more than you want. It might feel like you're going to come off on your toes, so get as far as you can without falling over, backing your hips up. The next alignment point is that we don't want our hips tipped way forward or tucked way under. So you're going to identify on the front of your hip bones. Mine are underneath this belly. But the front of the hip bones, where it hurts when you hit the barbell or the PVC, and then your pubic bone, this little triangle of 3 bony points, we want those to be in a flat plane. So we don't want our hip bones forward of our pubic bone or our pubic bone back of our hip bones, and vice versa. I don't want my pubic bone forward of my hip bones or my hip bones back from my pubic bone. I want those to be stacked so that's a nice vertical plane, and then that is lined up once again over my ankle. Okay, so working our way up. So I still have parallel feet. I'm backing my hips up. I have a neutral pelvis, which means that nice flat plane. Then I'm going to my rib cage. For you, it'll probably be easier, but basically right above your hip bones, you're going to find the part of your rib cage that's right above your hip bone. So obviously your rib cage comes up and down over here. So we're just going to find where it intersects. If I go straight up from those hip bones, where is my rib cage? This should be in the same plane as my pelvis. So I don't want my rib cage forward of my pelvis, and I don't want it back from my pelvis. Okay, I want it right in the same plane. For most people, that's going to mean, and this is what I do to help keep myself in alignment, is you're gonna put your hand on your chest and you're just gonna relax your rib cage down. You're not slouching. You're just, instead of being up like this, you're just relaxing your rib cage down. So rib cage right above your hip bones in the front, hip bones and pubic bone in the same plane, hip bone on the side directly above your ankles, outside of your feet parallel. The last point is really just your head. We want our ears to be above our shoulders. And so how we get that is not by lifting up, but actually by sort of sliding our head back. And that's sort of the same thing you want to do with your rib cage. You're not trying to tuck it under or lift it up. You're kind of trying to slide it back. So in general, for most people, once you set your feet parallel, you're going to back your hips up, you're going to back your rib cage up, you're going to back your head up. Okay? You might feel like you're tipping over. So get into this position and then relax a little bit. Okay? That's going to put you somewhere between where you are and where you want to go without feeling like you're going to fall over or things are being too twisted.